This audiobook unveils the Book of Energy Control, the ancient secret to mastering life through vibration. As you listen, you'll awaken to the truth. Energy does not simply surround you, it answers to you. With every thought and feeling, you are shaping your destiny. The Book of Energy Control. Introduction. In the silent weave of existence, energy is not a distant mystery. It is the very breath of your being. Each thought you hold is a spark cast into the infinite tapestry of creation, each feeling a pulse that ripples across unseen dimensions. The sages of old knew this secret. You are not a mere observer of the universe, but the very instrument through which it sings itself into form. The law of attraction moves through this sacred field of vibration. It does not heed the words you speak, but the resonance you carry. When your thoughts align with your truest desires, when your feelings echo the purity of your heart, the universe bends and shapes itself in harmony with your essence. For centuries, this knowledge has been veiled, handed from teacher to disciple in whispers, guarded not to conceal, but to honor its power. To approach it with greed yields shadows. To embrace it with reverence awakens transformation. Your thoughts are not passing clouds, but luminous blueprints of reality. Your words are not mere sounds, but living decrees. Your feelings are not momentary tides, but magnetic currents drawing life into form. To master energy is to master creation itself. This mastery does not demand force, but surrender, an attunement to the hidden currents that carry all things. Resist, and you stir chaos. Align, and you ride the eternal flow with effortless grace. Now, as the veil of forgetting lifts, the Book of Energy Control returns. Its wisdom stands before you, as ancient as the stars, as new as this moment, awaiting the one who is ready to receive. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. The Hidden Current of Creation. Chapter 1. The Whisper Beneath Every Thought. In ancient times there lived a merchant named Chester, who filled his days with constant grievances. At every turn, he found reason to bemoan his circumstances. The morning sun rose too early, disturbing his rest. The evening breeze blew too strongly, scattering his wares. His competitors' prices were too low, his customers too few. Like a magnet drawing iron filings, Chester's thoughts pulled matching experiences into his path. When he grumbled about unreliable suppliers, deliveries indeed arrived late. When he muttered about dishonest customers, more attempted to haggle or deceive. His prophecies of misfortune fulfilled themselves with uncanny precision. Then one day, exhausted by his own discontent, Chester began a simple practice. Each morning, he would pause to appreciate something small, the warmth of sunlight on his face, the sound of birds greeting the dawn, the smile of a passing child. At first it felt hollow, mere words without feeling. Yet as days passed, genuine gratitude began to stir within him. Gradually, the world around Chester shifted. His suppliers began arriving on time, bearing extra goods as gifts. Customers sought him out, drawn to the peaceful atmosphere of his shop. Even the weather seemed to cooperate with his needs. In a distant village lived Mabel, a weaver who discovered a similar truth through a different path. Each day, as she walked to market, she would silently bless those she passed. The baker with his fresh loaves, the children playing in the square, even the stray cats that crossed her path. She expected nothing in return, offering her good wishes freely into the universal flow. Yet the universe responded in kind. Unknown patrons recommended her work in distant cities. Strangers helped her carry heavy loads without being asked. During a storm that flooded many shops, neighbors rushed to protect her wares before she even knew of the danger. The kindness she sent out returned multiplied, carried on invisible currents of energy. These tales reveal the precision with which thought shapes experience. Like a musician whose instrument must be perfectly tuned, your thoughts resonate through the fabric of reality, attracting experiences that match their frequency. Complaints vibrate with the energy of lack, drawing more reasons to complain. Gratitude pulses with abundance, magnetizing unexpected blessings. Sacred practice. As you prepare for sleep each night, find a moment of perfect stillness. Draw 3 deep breaths, allowing each to carry you deeper into presence. Then, with quiet certainty, speak these words into the silence. My every thought crafts tomorrow. Let this truth settle not just in your mind, but in the very cells of your being. Feel the vibration of these words rippling through the quiet, knowing they are already reshaping the energy of your tomorrow. Chapter 2. The Weight of Resistance. You're now ready to uncover the second great truth about energy. Resistance creates the very barriers we seek to overcome. This wisdom emerges through the story of Ethel, whose desperate yearning for advancement in her workplace became the very force that held her back. Each day, Ethel would arrive early, stay late, and fill every moment with intense effort. She watched the position she desired with unwavering focus, measuring each action against this single goal. Her shoulders grew tight, her breath shallow, her mind consumed with proving her worth. Yet the more forcefully she pushed, the more distant her goal became. Others, seemingly less qualified, stepped into opportunities while she remained fixed in place like a flower too tightly bound to bloom. The universe operates through allowance, not force. When you squeeze water, it slips through your fingers. When you dam a river, pressure builds until the barriers break. So too does the flow of manifestation require an open channel, not a clenched fist. This truth revealed itself through Raymond's journey with healing. For years, he battled his body's ailments, fighting each symptom, resisting each limitation, turning his life into an endless struggle against what was. His home became a fortress of remedies and restrictions, yet health remained elusive. Then one day, Raymond simply stopped fighting. He released his grip on how healing should look. He began to move with his body's wisdom rather than against it. He rested when tired without guilt, ate what felt nourishing without rigid rules, and allowed joy to enter his days without waiting for perfect health. To his amazement, his body began to respond. Sleep came easily, pain lessened, and vitality returned, not through force, but through flow. The peace that filled his home attracted healing on levels he hadn't imagined possible. His family relationships softened, laughter returned, and even his garden seemed to grow more abundantly in this new atmosphere of acceptance. These stories illuminate the paradox at the heart of manifestation. What you chase often flees, while what you release returns transformed. This is not passive resignation, but active surrender, a higher form of mastery that aligns you with universal currents instead of fighting against them. Sacred practice. As the sun rises each morning, stand in quiet reverence. Extend your palms upward in a gesture of receptivity. Softly speak these words. I receive the flow I cannot force. Envision streams of golden light pouring down from above, filling your open hands and flowing directly into your heart. Let this light dissolve any resistance, any pushing, any strain. Feel yourself becoming a clear channel for the universe's endless abundance. Chapter 3: The Echo of Desire. In the ancient scrolls of wisdom, there exists a tale that unveils the subtle dance between desire and manifestation. Like Vernon, who walked the streets with wealth in his dreams but poverty in his thoughts, you too may have noticed how your deepest wishes seem to clash with the reality before you. Watch carefully how Vernon's mind dwelled endlessly in the valley of what he lacked. Though his lips spoke of abundance, his heart beat to the rhythm of scarcity. Each bill that arrived seemed to confirm his worst fears. Each expense reinforced his belief in limitation. The universe, being the perfect mirror, could only reflect back what he held most consistently in his thoughts, the weight of his debts. This reveals a fundamental truth about the nature of energy. It responds not to what you want, but to what you expect. Desire alone floats like leaves on the wind, but desire coupled with unwavering belief becomes an irresistible force of nature. Harriet's story illuminates this principle with crystal clarity. Where once she had fixated on empty bank accounts and mounting expenses, she made a subtle yet powerful shift. Instead of allowing her thoughts to spiral into worry, she began to cultivate a genuine feeling of joy about money, not from what she had, but from what she knew was possible. She started small, finding delight in paying for her morning coffee, feeling gratitude for the coins in her purse. Rather than seeing bills as burdens, she viewed them as proof she could afford services that enhanced her life. This shift in perspective, though seemingly insignificant, altered the very frequency she broadcast to the universe. Soon, unexpected checks appeared in her mail. A forgotten deposit was discovered. Opportunities for additional income emerged naturally. Even small windfalls, a refund here, a discount there, began to accumulate. The universe responded not to her wishes, but to her newfound harmony with abundance. Sacred practice. As the first light breaks across the horizon each morning, center yourself in stillness. Let these words rise from your depths. I expand in what I expect. Feel each syllable resonate not as a mere hope, but as an immutable law of your being. Allow this truth to sink past the surface of thought until it nestles in the soil of absolute certainty. Chapter 4: The Unseen Magnet. In this ancient teaching, we find a truth as old as the stars themselves. Like Clyde, you may recognize how the words we speak create ripples in the infinite field of possibility. Yet these ripples are but surface movements. Beneath them flows a deeper current of energy that cannot deceive. Observe how Clyde's lips formed the shape of longing for connection, while his heart sang a song of isolation. "No one cares for me," he would say, and in doing so, he wove an invisible barrier around his spirit. This barrier, though unseen by mortal eyes, radiated with such potency that it turned away the very love he sought. Each repetition of his wounded belief strengthened this field until it became an impenetrable fortress, keeping at bay the very warmth he yearned to embrace. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, does not respond to our words alone, but to the energy signature we emit. This signature carries the truth of our deepest beliefs, fears, and expectations. It broadcasts continuously, like a beacon in the night, drawing to us experiences that match its frequency. Mildred's journey reveals the other side of this eternal principle. When she turned her attention inward, tending to the garden of her soul, With the same care one might give to precious flowers, something remarkable began to unfold. She discovered that by nurturing her inner light through meditation, self-acceptance, and gentle self-talk, she naturally began to emit a frequency of wholeness and peace. She no longer needed to seek companionship, for she had become a living embodiment of the love she once chased. People began to gravitate toward her naturally, drawn by an invisible force they couldn't name but could certainly feel. Her presence became a sanctuary where others found comfort, not because she tried to create this effect, but because she had aligned herself with the highest vibration of all, pure, unconditional love. This transformation demonstrates a fundamental law of energy. What we truly are, not what we claim to be, determines what we attract. The universe responds to our energetic truth with mathematical precision, matching our inner state with outer experience. Sacred practice. As twilight descends and the day's activities settle into silence, stand before a mirror. Let your gaze rest gently upon your reflection. In this moment of sacred communion with your own spirit, silently affirm, "I am magnetized to love, for I vibrate love." Feel these words not as a mere statement, but as a recognition of your true nature. Let them resonate through every cell of your being, acknowledging the magnetic force of love that you already are. Chapter 5: The Quiet Command. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Irving spent his days shouting prices and bargaining with fierce determination. His voice grew hoarse from constant haggling, his mind weary from endless negotiations. Yet despite his forceful approach, prosperity seemed to slip through his fingers like grains of sand. One morning, exhausted from his efforts, Irving found himself drawn to a quiet temple garden. There, beneath an ancient tree, he witnessed an old sage, moving stones twice his size with nothing but gentle touches and patient pauses. The sage explained, "The universe bows not to force, but to the whisper of certainty." This truth pierced Irving's heart. He began to practice silence in his dealings, letting calm certainty guide his actions, rather than desperate intensity. To his amazement, customers now approached him naturally, drawn by his peaceful presence. His business flourished not through loud proclamations, but through the magnetic power of his quiet confidence. In another city lived Lorraine, who had always believed that manifesting required grand gestures and elaborate rituals. She would light numerous candles, chant for hours, and perform complex ceremonies in her attempt to attract abundance. Yet her desired outcomes remained elusive. One night, in the simplest of moments, while sitting quietly in her garden, Lorraine whispered a single word of gratitude. In that peaceful instant, she felt the entire universe align with her intention. She discovered that her softest prayers carried more power than all her previous theatrical efforts combined. Within weeks, opportunities began flowing to her effortlessly. Business partnerships formed naturally, relationships healed spontaneously, and solutions appeared precisely when needed. The secret lay not in the volume of her requests, but in the quiet authority of her certainty. These stories unveil a fundamental truth about energy. It responds most powerfully to calm, unwavering command. Like a deep river that moves silently yet carries immense power, your quiet certainty holds more force than any amount of noisy striving. Practice and find a peaceful space where you can be undisturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to settle into a natural rhythm. When you feel centered, softly think these words: calm orders creation. Observe how your stillness ripples outward, touching every aspect of your life with quiet power. Chapter 6: The Seeds of Attention. In a village among ancient hills lived a woman named Cora, whose mind was a garden overrun with memories of past defeats. Each morning, she would wake and tend to these bitter flowers, watering them with her attention until they grew wild and thick, choking out any new growth. "Remember the business that failed," she would whisper to herself. "Remember the friendship that withered." And with each remembrance, these stories grew stronger, casting longer shadows across her days. Like water flowing downhill, energy follows the paths we carve with our attention. Each thought you nurture becomes a channel, drawing more of its kind. When you water the seeds of past failures, they multiply, spreading their roots into your present moment until their vines entangle every new opportunity before it can bloom. In the same village dwelt a merchant named Wilbur, who discovered a different truth. Each evening he would pause to notice the smallest victories of his day. A kind word spoken, a task completed well, a moment of peace found amid chaos. At first these successes seemed insignificant, mere droplets in an ocean of experience. Yet as he continued to focus his attention upon them, something remarkable occurred. These small triumphs began to multiply, attracting their kin as surely as flowers attract bees. The great law works with perfect precision. Whatever you nurture with your awareness grows stronger in your life. Your attention is the water that feeds the garden of your experience. Each thought you hold becomes a seed, each focus a root system reaching deep into the soil of possibility. This wisdom echoes through the ages. Energy flows where attention goes. The stories you choose to water will flourish, while those left untended naturally fade. You hold this power in every moment, the power to choose which seeds you will nourish with your precious attention. Ancient practice. Each morning as the sun rises, select one blessing present in your life. It need not be grand. Perhaps the warmth of sunlight on your face, the taste of fresh water, or the rhythm of your own breath. Speak this blessing aloud 3 times, letting each repetition sink deeper into your awareness. Then, as you move through your day, allow this blessing to unfold like a flower opening its petals, touching everything you encounter with its fragrance. Chapter 7: The River's Bend. In a village where time seemed to stand still, there lived a woman named Leonardine. Each morning, she followed the same path to draw water from the same well, speaking to the same neighbors, careful to keep her life as unchanging as the stone walls that lined the streets. When merchants brought new wares or travelers shared tales of distant lands, she would shut her windows tight, as if novelty itself might disturb her carefully preserved world. But life, in its infinite wisdom, does not honor such boundaries. When storm winds toppled the old well, when familiar faces moved away, when new homes rose where gardens once bloomed, Leonardine's grip on sameness became a source of deepening pain. Each change felt like a personal betrayal, each shift in her world an assault on her spirit. The universe speaks in the language of motion. Like water, it must flow to remain pure. Like breath, it must move to sustain life. Your resistance to change is resistance to life itself. When you plant your feet against the current of creation, you do not stop its flow. You only ensure your own exhaustion. Through tears and sleepless nights, Leonardine's fingers slowly unclenched from their hold on the familiar, not by choice at first, but by necessity, the way a tree must bend in strong winds or break. In that surrender, she discovered something unexpected: space to breathe, room to grow. In another town, a merchant named Gerald learned this same truth through a different path. After losing his fortune, he had spent years trying to recreate his past success exactly as it had been, down to the same shop location and identical merchandise. But prosperity eluded him until the day he finally released his grip on what was lost. Once Gerald allowed himself to flow with new opportunities, to adapt his skills to changing markets, to welcome unfamiliar partnerships, abundance returned. Not as an echo of the past, but as something fresh and vital. His willingness to change became the very key that unlocked doors he never knew existed. What appears as loss is often life-clearing space for greater gifts. What feels like disruption is frequently the universe's attempt to guide you toward expansion. The energy of creation moves ever forward, like a river that cannot flow upstream. Ancient practice. Place your hand on your chest and repeat, "I trust the bend of the river." Feel the current carrying you. Find a quiet moment and rest your hand gently upon your chest. Close your eyes and sense the steady rhythm beneath your palm, the eternal river of life flowing through you. Imagine yourself upon a luminous stream carried effortlessly by unseen currents of wisdom and love. Each bend, though unknown, is leading you faithfully toward your highest good. Rest in the calm assurance that you need not control the waters. The river knows its course, and you are always being carried exactly where you are meant to be. Chapter 8: The Hidden Storehouse. In a small coastal town, where fishing boats dotted the harbor like scattered pearls, lived a woman named Edna. Each morning she would count her meager savings, her shoulders heavy with the weight of scarcity. "There's only so much to go around," she would whisper, watching others prosper while she carefully rationed every blessing, convinced that life's bounty was running dry. The law of energy knows no depletion. Like sunlight touching 1,000 flowers without dimming, like the ocean filling countless shells without emptying, the universe operates from unlimited supply. Your belief in scarcity is merely a veil drawn across infinite abundance. As days passed, Edna noticed something peculiar. Those who lived as though abundance was their natural state seemed to draw more of it effortlessly. A fisherman named Warren particularly caught her attention. Despite starting with a single boat, he approached each day with unshakable faith in Providence. When others held back, fearing the season's catch would run dry, he ventured forth with certainty. "The sea never empties," Warren would say, "it gives and gives again." His conviction proved prophetic. Where others saw limitation, he discovered new fishing grounds. When fellows hoarded their catches, he shared freely and found his nets growing fuller. His generosity seemed to tap into an endless flow. Each gift returned multiplied. This truth echoes through the ages. Energy responds not to what you want, but to what you believe is possible. When you view life through the lens of limitation, you draw only what fits within those bounds. But when you align with the infinite nature of creation, you open channels for boundless good to flow. The universe operates like an eternal spring, not a finite well. Every blessing given creates space for more to enter. Every expression of abundance invites greater prosperity. You cannot exhaust the universe's capacity to provide, any more than you could exhaust its ability to create new stars. Ancient practice. Each night, softly declare, "I live in an infinite storehouse of good." Feel these words dissolve the illusion of limitation, opening your consciousness to endless supply. As you repeat the phrase, feel the veil of limitation melt away. Picture walls of scarcity crumbling, revealing vast halls filled with light, treasure, and supply without end. Let gratitude rise as you drift toward sleep, for in this consciousness you are not asking, you are remembering. All that you could ever need already surrounds you, waiting for your recognition. Chapter 9. The Sacred Exchange. In a bustling marketplace where merchants traded their wares, there lived a goldsmith named Floyd. His hands were skilled at crafting the finest jewelry, yet his heart remained closed like an iron chest. Though coins filled his purse, he clutched them so tightly that his knuckles turned white, fearing that sharing even a copper piece would lead to poverty. When beggars approached his shop, he turned them away, or when his apprentices sought fair wages, he offered the minimum. "Wealth must be guarded," he would mutter, "for once given, it never returns." Yet the more fiercely he gripped his gold, the more swiftly it seemed to slip through his fingers. His customers grew fewer, his reputation dimmed, and despite his hoarding, his wealth steadily dwindled. The universe operates through eternal circulation, like blood flowing through veins, like water cycling through clouds and rain. Energy must move to remain vital. When blocked, it stagnates. When released, it multiplies. In the same marketplace worked Agnes, a humble baker. Though her loaves were simple, she gave generously, a warm roll to a hungry child, an extra pastry to an elderly customer, time spent teaching others her craft. "What flows out," she would say, "creates space for more to flow in." To her amazement, as she gave freely, abundance flowed back through unexpected channels. A grateful student shared a secret recipe that doubled her sales. A customer, touched by her kindness, mentioned her bakery to wealthy merchants. Her generosity created an unseen network of goodwill that returned to her multiplied. This truth rings through the ages. Wealth, like air, must circulate to sustain life. The closed hand receives nothing new, while the open palm both gives and receives. Your prosperity expands, not through anxious hoarding, but through trustful circulation. Each act of giving sets in motion waves that return bearing gifts. Each expression of generosity opens new channels for abundance to flow. You cannot deplete your good through sharing any more than you could empty the ocean by waving your hand through its waters. Ancient practice. Place a coin in your palm, bless it, and pass it to another, or save it with intention, whispering, "What I give returns." Take a single coin, or any token of value, and place it in your palm. Feel its weight, however small, as a symbol of infinite supply condensed into form. Close your eyes and whisper blessing into it. Imagine light flowing from your heart into the coin, charging it with the energy of increase. You may choose to pass it to another in kindness, or keep it aside with sacred purpose. As you do, softly declare, "What I give returns." Know that you have set a cycle in motion, for all giving is sowing, and all sowing returns multiplied. Trust that the universe now carries your seed into unseen fields of harvest. Chapter 10. The Voice Above Fear. In the heart of every human lies an ancient wisdom. That which you fear most ardently becomes a beacon, drawing toward you the very shadows you wish to avoid. This truth manifested in Dorothy's life with unfailing precision. Living in a modest cottage at the edge of town, she spent her days weaving tapestries of worry in her mind. Surely misfortune approaches, she would whisper to herself, unknowingly sending ripples through the ethereal fabric of existence. Like attracts like, this law remains unbroken since time immemorial. Dorothy's persistent attention to potential calamities acted as a magnet, drawing circumstances that validated her fears. Her garden withered not from drought, but from her anticipation of failure. Her relationships cooled not from conflict, but from her expectation of abandonment. Each morning she rose to find new evidence supporting her anxieties, unaware that she herself had laid the path for their arrival. The universe responds not to our words alone, but to the energy beneath them. Fear possesses its own frequency, its own magnetic pull. When you devote your attention to what might go wrong, you unknowingly construct bridges over which your dreaded possibilities may cross into reality. Milton, a carpenter who lived across the valley, discovered this truth in reverse. Where once he had dwelled in anxiety about his craft, he learned to lift his thoughts toward trust. With each piece of wood he shaped, he began speaking words of confidence. My hands know their purpose. My work serves with excellence. As Milton shifted his inner dialogue, the atmosphere around him transformed. Clients who once questioned his prices now praised his artistry. Tools that seemed to resist his touch now moved in harmony with his intentions. His workshop, once heavy with the weight of doubt, filled with light and possibility. Not because the world had changed, but because he had altered the energy he sent forth into it. This truth echoes through the ages. Fear obeys the law of silence, dissolving when you withdraw your voice from its chorus. Love obeys the law of voice, multiplying when you speak its language with conviction. The shadows that appear to stalk your path are not entities of their own making. They are echoes of the energy you have cast forth. Yet in any moment, you hold the power to transmute these shadows through the alchemy of your attention. Ancient practice. In fear's presence, say aloud, I welcome safety. I release shadows. Feel the air shift in response. When fear arises, do not turn away. Stand present and breathe deeply into the moment. Place your awareness in the center of your being, and with calm authority speak aloud. I welcome safety. I release shadows. As the words pass your lips, feel the atmosphere around you begin to change. The heaviness of fear loosens, like mist dissolving in the morning sun, and a quiet strength begins to fill the space. The air itself seems to shift, carrying with it the assurance that you are surrounded, upheld, and protected by forces greater than fear. In this act, you do not fight shadows. You transform them through the light of your declaration. Part 2, The Science of Inner Alchemy. Chapter 11, The Furnace of Belief. Within the eternal dance of creation, a sacred truth awaits your recognition. Belief shapes the very substance of existence. This wisdom unfolded through Lucille's journey as she walked the paths of healing, yet remained bound by the chains of her own making. I am always ill, she would proclaim, unknowingly forging these words into the architecture of her reality. Each declaration of sickness became a command to the universe, which faithfully mirrored her conviction back to her. The law remains constant. Energy follows belief with perfect fidelity. When you declare your limitations, the universe cannot help but arrange circumstances to match your proclamation. It is not punishment but precision, the exact reflection of your deepest held truths. In the realm of infinite possibility, your beliefs act as the mold into which formless energy pours itself. Like water, taking the shape of its container, The substance of life arranges itself according to your most firmly held convictions. A mere wish for health, wealth, or joy remains powerless when contradicted by an underlying belief in their impossibility. Harvey's tale illuminates this principle with crystal clarity. His business teetered on the edge of collapse, yet rather than accepting defeat, he chose to plant a new belief in the fertile soil of his consciousness. "Prosperity flows through my enterprise," he would affirm, not as a hope, but as an acknowledgement of what he knew to be true. He did not ignore the challenges before him. Instead, he transformed them by altering the lens through which he viewed his circumstances. As Harvey's belief in abundance grew stronger, the universe rearranged itself to match his conviction. New clients appeared as if summoned. Solutions emerged from unexpected quarters. What others saw as obstacles, he recognized as stepping stones, precisely because his belief system had no room for failure. The message rings clear across the ages. Belief is not merely a thought you think, but the very foundation upon which your reality builds itself. It is the furnace in which formless energy is molded into tangible experience. Your beliefs are not passive observers of your life. They are the active architects of your destiny. Ancient practice. Each night whisper firmly, "What I believe takes form." Repeat until conviction warms you like a steady fire. Each night before sleep, step into the silence and let the day fall away like a fading echo. Place your hand upon your heart and whisper with firm certainty, "What I believe takes form." Speak it again and again until the words are no longer sounds but living substance, shaping the unseen. With each repetition, feel conviction rising within you, glowing like a steady fire that warms the chambers of your soul. Rest in this flame, knowing that belief is the architect of reality, and that what you claim in faith is already building itself in the field of the infinite. Chapter 12, The Pattern of Words. The patterns you weave with words hold more power than you yet understand. In the tapestry of existence, every utterance sends ripples through the fabric of reality, creating the very circumstances you will encounter. This truth revealed itself through Elsie, who unknowingly crafted her future through the stories she chose to tell. With each recounting of her struggles, Elsie strengthened the energetic blueprint of hardship in her life. "Nothing ever works out for me," she would say, and the universe, being the perfect mirror of consciousness, arranged circumstances to validate her declaration. Her words became seeds, sprouting exactly what she had planted. More difficulties, more obstacles, more proof that life was indeed a burden. Yet within this same law lies the key to transformation. Your words are not mere descriptions of what is. They are commands to the infinite, instructions for what shall be. Norman discovered this hidden principle and wielded it with the precision of an artist. Where once he spoke of scarcity, he now wove abundance into his daily conversation. "I am amazed by how opportunities keep finding me," he would say, even before evidence appeared. The universe, ever faithful to the vibrations you send forth, began responding to Norman's new narrative. His casual mentions of perfect timing and endless possibilities became prophecies fulfilling themselves. Business connections emerged in unexpected places. Resources appeared just when needed. The very fabric of his reality shifted to match the new pattern his words were weaving. This is not magic, but law, as exact as mathematics, as reliable as gravity. The words you speak carry frequencies that ripple outward, attracting their matching vibrations back to you. Each time you describe your life, you're not merely reporting. You're creating, commanding, sculpting the energy that shapes your tomorrow. Ancient practice. At sunrise, whisper, "My words carve the path I walk." Let your language reflect where you wish to stand. At the rising of the sun, stand in stillness and let the first light touch your spirit. In that sacred moment, acknowledge the creative force hidden within your voice. Every phrase you release is not idle sound. It is a chisel shaping the stone of reality. Speak with intention, allowing your language to carry the weight of destiny rather than the drift of habit. Let your expressions honor the life you long to inhabit, so that the ground ahead may rise to meet the pattern of your declarations. In this way, your dawn words become living architecture, guiding your steps into worlds already prepared for you. Chapter 13. The Mirror Law. Once there lived a merchant named Clara in a bustling market town. Each day she encountered rudeness from customers, hostility from fellow merchants, and coldness from passers-by. "The world grows harder," she would lament, cataloging every slight, every frown, every harsh word thrown her way. What Clara failed to perceive was the stern judgment in her own eyes as she watched others, the tight criticism in her thoughts, the subtle contempt that colored her interactions. The universe, in its perfect wisdom, simply showed her what she projected. This truth stands eternal. The outer world serves as an unfaltering mirror to your inner state. Each unkind thought you harbor returns as an unkind gesture. Each judgment you cast comes back as judgment received. The law of reflection operates with mathematical precision, showing you exactly what vibration you emanate. Homer, a wandering artist, discovered this principle through an unexpected path. Living in various cities, he noticed how differently strangers treated him in each place. It wasn't until he realized that his own state of mind had shifted between locations that the pattern became clear. When fear or suspicion clouded his thoughts, the city seemed hostile and dangerous. Yet in moments when his heart opened with genuine warmth, even the most crowded streets filled with smiling faces and helpful hands. The same locations transformed entirely based on the energy he brought to them. Homer began a conscious practice of radiating kindness, not as a superficial gesture, but as a genuine emanation from his core. He smiled at strangers without expecting response. He offered assistance without seeking reward. He held space for others' struggles without judgment. Gradually, his world transformed. Shop owners remembered his name and offered their best wares. Strangers stopped to share their stories. Even in the most impersonal spaces, warmth found him like a magnetic force. The teaching crystallizes. Your experience of life reflects your inner vibration with perfect accuracy. When you perceive harshness everywhere, examine first the harshness within. When you encounter repeated patterns of any kind, look to your own energetic broadcast. Practice each evening. Softly affirm, "What I see is what I shine." Walk gently in the reflection. Feel the truth within these words. Your inner vision is not passive. It radiates outward, clothing your world in its image. As you move through the night, carry yourself with a quiet grace, knowing that every glance of the soul becomes a lantern, and every reflection you hold becomes the light you leave behind. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Circle Returns. In the quiet corners of a small town, Ruth carried criticism like a torch, illuminating faults in everyone she met. Her sharp tongue found flaws in the baker's bread, the gardener's roses, and the seamstress's stitches. With each passing season, she noticed how others seemed increasingly harsh in their judgments of her work, her appearance, and her ways. The universe operates through an immutable law. Every energetic vibration returns to its source. Like a boomerang thrown into the cosmic winds, each thought, each word, each feeling completes its journey by returning home. Ruth's criticism, sent forth like arrows, found their way back as wounds in her own heart. Yet this law holds true for blessings as well as burdens. Eugene, a humble craftsman, discovered this truth through living it. Each morning, he began offering silent blessings to those who crossed his path. He blessed the mail carrier's steps, the neighbor's garden, the stranger's smile. Soon, his life filled with unexpected kindnesses, a helping hand when his cart overturned, an umbrella offered in sudden rain, a warm meal shared when he needed it most. The circle remained unbroken. Every blessing he sent multiplied and returned, wrapping his days in golden light. His workshop, once a quiet place, became a gathering spot for those seeking not just his crafts, but the warmth of his presence. The energy he cast into the world created ripples that returned as waves of goodwill. This law operates with precision beyond human planning. You cannot send forth thorns and expect roses in return. The energy you release, whether through thoughts, words, or actions, must complete its circuit. Like draws like, multiplied by the vast currents of universal law. When you understand this principle, you hold the key to transforming your entire experience. Every moment offers a choice: to criticize or to bless, to judge or to accept, to curse or to praise. And in that choice lies the seed of what you will harvest. Sacred practice: breathe and say, "I send only what I welcome home." Feel the circle forming at once. With these words, you set the law of return in motion, releasing thoughts, feelings, and actions as seeds destined to find their way back. Imagine them circling outward like radiant ripples across still water, only to bend and return to your heart, bearing the same harmony you released. Feel the circle forming instantly, perfect, whole, and complete, reminding you that what you give is the very thing that comes to dwell with you. Chapter 15. The Still Point. Marjorie's life resembled a scattered reflection in broken glass, each fragment holding a different dream. One day she yearned to master painting, the next to open a shop, then to travel abroad, write a novel, or learn medicine. Her energy, like water poured across desert sand, vanished before taking root anywhere. In the universal field of creation, energy follows the law of concentration. Just as sunlight, when focused through a lens, gains the power to ignite, your desires must converge at a single point to manifest with power. Marjorie's scattered attention left her with a collection of half-started projects and fading dreams, each one stealing strength from the others. The truth remains unchanging. Energy flows where attention goes, but divided attention creates divided results. You cannot serve multiple masters and expect any to yield their full treasure. The universe responds not to the quantity of your desires, but to the quality of your focus. Howard discovered this wisdom through lived experience. After years of chasing various opportunities, he chose to direct all his energy toward one clear vision, creating a sanctuary for healing. He released the temptation to divide his focus, even when other promising paths appeared. Like a laser cutting through confusion, his singular devotion began drawing resources, people, and circumstances aligned with his purpose. This law operates with mathematical precision. When you scatter your energy across 10 desires, each receives merely a tenth of your creative power, but when you pour all into one vessel, it fills to overflowing. The universe does not reward wishful thinking but responds to sustained, focused intention. Your power lies in choosing one true aim and holding it in unwavering focus. Let all other desires fall away like autumn leaves, knowing that in serving one master completely, you serve all parts of yourself. At the still point of concentrated attention, the universe gathers its forces to support your chosen direction. Sacred practice. Each day, hold one vision only and breathe focus into it, whispering, "At the still point, all gathers." Feel the truth of this, how every scattered fragment of life bends toward the center you establish. In this stillness, the many become one, and what you hold with unwavering clarity must take shape in the world around you. Chapter 16, The Fire of Emotion. In the quietness of her garden, Opal recited affirmations like a schoolchild memorizing verses. Day after day, she spoke the ancient formulas. I am blessed, I am abundant, I am whole. Yet her words fell flat, like stones into a still pond, creating ripples that faded without effect. Though her lips moved, her heart remained unmoved, and so too did her circumstances remain unchanged. Here lies a truth deeper than words alone. The universe responds not to empty phrases, but to the living fire of emotion that fills them. When you speak of abundance without the feeling of abundance, you send forth empty vessels into the cosmic sea. When you affirm health without the sensation of vitality coursing through your veins, you paint with watercolors in the rain. Your emotions are the sacred flame that brings life to every thought, every word, every intention. They are the difference between a map drawn in sand and one carved in stone. The ancients understood this when they spoke of the quickening. That moment, when mere thoughts become alive with power. Franklin discovered this truth through his own awakening. Where once he had mechanically repeated his intentions, he learned to infuse each word with the full spectrum of feeling. When he spoke of prosperity, he allowed himself to feel the warmth of abundance flowing through his body. When he affirmed success, he embraced the joy of achievement as if it were already present. His affirmations became not just words, but living seeds, watered by the waters of emotion. Within days, his reality began shifting. Opportunities appeared as if summoned by his feeling-rich thoughts. His business flourished, relationships deepened, and life responded as though it had been waiting only for the fire of his feeling to ignite the changes he sought. The law stands eternal. Emotion is the spark that brings the universe to life. Your thoughts provide the form, but your feelings provide the force. Without emotion, affirmations are like unlit lanterns in the dark, present but powerless. With feeling, they become beacons that guide the forces of creation to your door. Sacred practice. Place both hands on your heart and repeat an affirmation with feeling until your spirit glows with it. Rest both palms over your heart and close your eyes, letting your breath fall into a natural rhythm. As you begin to speak your chosen words, allow them to rise, not just from the mind, but from the depth of your being. Feel the vibration of each phrase, as though it is weaving threads of light within your chest. Repeat your affirmation slowly, as if you are pouring it directly into your bloodstream. Notice how the warmth spreads with each breath, carrying the words beyond thought and into sensation. The glow begins subtly, a quiet flicker of inner fire that responds to your sincerity. Stay with it until the affirmation feels less like a sentence and more like a song the body hums on its own. Remain in this stillness for a moment, trusting that the glow is your spirit, awakening to its own truth. When you finally open your eyes, let that warmth spill into your actions, gestures, and choices throughout the day. The practice is not only in speaking, but in becoming the embodiment of what you affirmed. Chapter 17. The Image Within. In the shadows of her study, Lillian knelt each night, hands clasped in earnest prayer. Her words reached upward, pleading for success, yet behind her closed eyes, images of defeat played endlessly. She saw herself failing, falling, losing ground. Though her lips shaped words of victory, her mind painted portraits of loss with unwitting precision. And so reality, that faithful artist, brought to life the very scenes she feared most. Here unfolds one of the most powerful principles in the universal law. Your imagination serves as the architect's blueprint for all that manifests in your world. Every image you hold becomes a template, a pattern that energy rushes to fill. The universe knows no difference between an image born of fear and one born of faith. It simply responds to the pictures you present. Your mind is not merely a theater of passing thoughts, where it is a sacred studio where reality itself is first shaped. The images you nurture become the molds into which the formless energy of life will pour. When you picture defeat while praying for victory, you create conflicting blueprints, and energy, ever faithful, follows the stronger image. Virgil understood this when his business stood on the edge of ruin. Instead of dwelling on the empty shelves and mounting bills, he devoted himself to crafting a new vision. Each morning, he would sit in his office, eyes closed, carefully building an image of success. He saw customers flowing through his doors, witnessed satisfaction in their faces, felt the weight of prosperity in his hands. He held this picture with such clarity that it became more real to him than his current circumstances. Within weeks, subtle shifts began. A chance meeting led to a new supplier. An unexpected opportunity opened a fresh market. His business transformed, not by external intervention, but by the power of his sustained inner vision. The universe simply matched what he had already made real in his mind. The law remains immutable. Imagination precedes manifestation. What you picture with consistency and feeling becomes the template for tomorrow. Your inner eye is the architect's pen, drawing the blueprints that reality will build. Sacred practice. Each night form one radiant inner image and breathe life into it until it feels more real than the external moment. Each evening, as the world quiets, close your eyes and call forth a single vision, one image that holds meaning for you, whether of healing, abundance, or peace. Hold it gently in your mind, not as a distant dream, but as something tenderly present. With each inhale, imagine drawing vitality into this vision, and with each exhale, let it expand, growing brighter and more vivid. Allow yourself to feel the weight of its reality as though it already exists within the unseen layers of your being. Notice the details, the colors, textures, sounds, or emotions that surround this inner picture, and let them take on dimension. With steady breath, infuse it with warmth until the image no longer feels imagined but alive, pulsing with the rhythm of your own heartbeat. When the glow of this vision fills you more than the outer world, Linger in that space, trusting its quiet power. Know that the boundary between thought and form is softened here, and what you nurture within becomes the seed of what you will encounter without. Carry this subtle knowing into your sleep, allowing your night's rest to become an act of creation. Chapter 18, The Hidden Covenant. In a small room, Esther sat surrounded by unpaid bills, feeling the weight of isolation press upon her shoulders. Though she spoke of dreams and hopes, a deeper voice within whispered that she faced life's challenges alone. With each setback, she pulled further into herself, building walls against an universe she believed had abandoned her. Yet here lies one of the most sacred truths of energy's flow. You are never truly alone. The universe stands as an eternal presence, a silent partner in every moment of your journey. Like the air that fills your lungs without asking, this presence suffuses all space, all time, waiting only for your recognition. When you understand this truth, you grasp one of the fundamental laws of energy. Everything responds. Every thought you think, every feeling you nurture, every word you speak sends ripples through the invisible fabric of creation. These ripples return, bearing gifts that match their nature. The universe does not judge or choose. It simply answers, with the precision of a mirror reflecting light. Wallace discovered this truth during his darkest hour. His business had crumbled, his savings had vanished, and conventional wisdom suggested he retreat. Yet something shifted when he began acting as if invisible hands supported his every step. He moved through his days as though success was certain, as though help lurked around every corner. Not with desperate hope, but with quiet knowing. Soon, phone calls came at perfect moments. Chance meetings opened doors he never knew existed. Resources appeared from unexpected sources. It wasn't magic. It was the natural response of energy to his changed relationship with it. By trusting in the covenant, he activated its power. This covenant is not a contract to be signed, but a law to be lived. It operates whether you acknowledge it or not, but its full power awakens only through conscious partnership. When you step forward as if supported, support appears. When you move as if guided, guidance emerges. When you live as if abundance surrounds you, abundance reveals itself. Sacred practice and whisper, I am never forsaken. I am always heard. Let the covenant breathe with you. In a moment of stillness, bow your head slightly and let your breath become slow and deliberate. As you whisper, I am never forsaken. I am always heard. Allow the words to settle deep into your chest, as though they are being etched upon your very spirit. Feel how the rhythm of your breathing gives life to the covenant, each inhale affirming presence, each exhale releasing doubt. Do not rush. Linger with the sound of your voice, soft yet certain, and notice how the air around you seems to shift in acknowledgement. The words are more than a statement. They are a remembrance, a thread tying you to the unseen that has always walked beside you. With every repetition, your heart learns the truth of its own belonging. Remain in this communion until silence itself feels alive, holding you tenderly. Carry the covenant into your day or into your rest, knowing that the act of whispering is not for the world outside, but for the eternal listener within and beyond. In this way, your breath becomes prayer, and your prayer becomes proof of unbroken connection. Chapter 19, The Breath of Creation. Long ago, in a bustling marketplace, Ida rushed from stall to stall, her mind racing ahead while her spirit lagged behind. Her days blurred together in constant motion, yet true progress eluded her grasp. Though opportunity surrounded her, she remained blind to its presence, caught in the whirlwind of her own haste. The ancient truth waited patiently within her all along. Breath is the bridge between spirit and matter, between intention and manifestation. Each inhalation draws in universal energy. Each exhalation shapes it according to your state of being. This simple rhythm, so often overlooked, holds the power to transform your entire existence. When you breathe shallow and quick, you sever yourself from the deeper currents of life force that sustain and guide you. Your energy scatters like leaves in wind, unable to gather into meaningful patterns. But when you breathe fully and consciously, you tap into the very pulse of creation itself. Stanley discovered this wisdom during a time of great uncertainty. His investments had stalled, his relationships felt strained, and his path forward seemed shrouded in fog. One morning, sitting in his garden, he noticed how the flowers moved with each passing breeze, neither resistant nor hurried, simply in perfect rhythm with life itself. In that moment he began to breathe as nature breathed, deeply, fully, present. With each conscious breath, his mind cleared like a settling pond. Solutions appeared where before he saw only problems. People who could aid his journey seemed to cross his path at precisely the right moment. The science of breath reveals itself in these moments of alignment. It is not merely about taking in air. It is about establishing your natural connection to the universal flow. Each breath becomes a declaration of your existence, a statement of your readiness to receive. The energy field around you responds accordingly, matching your rhythm, amplifying your intentions. This is the hidden power you carry within you always. Your breath is both compass and key, showing you the way forward while unlocking doors you never knew existed. When you breathe consciously, you step into command of the energy that shapes your reality. Sacred practice. Inhale fully, exhale slowly, silently declaring, each breath creates. Draw in a full breath, letting it expand your chest and belly as though you are gathering light from the unseen. Pause for a heartbeat, then release it slowly, feeling the air leave you like a gentle tide returning to the sea. As you exhale, let the silent declaration rise within. Each breath creates. Allow those words to echo through your body as if they are carried by the current of air itself. With each cycle of breath, sense the truth of your role as co-creator. Inhaling, you gather possibility. Exhaling, you give form. The phrase becomes less an affirmation and more a law inscribed into your being, the understanding that every breath you take ripples outward, shaping energy, shaping life. Let the rhythm convince you that creation is not distant, but constant, moving through you with ease. Stay with this flow until the act of breathing feels like painting upon the invisible canvas of the present moment. Notice how your body softens, how your awareness steadies, and how your heart begins to glow with quiet authority. Carry this knowing forward. Each breath you take is not only survival, it is Genesis, a continual beginning. Chapter 20. The Kingdom Within. In a time not far from now, Pearl adorned herself with achievements, racing from one accomplishment to the next. Her shelves gleamed with trophies, her walls bore countless certificates, yet each new honor brought only momentary satisfaction before the hunger returned. Like a traveler chasing the horizon, she found that external recognition remained forever, one step ahead. leaving her exhausted and unfulfilled. Here lies one of the most sacred truths of energy mastery. The power you seek externally already dwells within. Just as a kingdom's true strength flows from its inner resources, your authentic power emerges from your inner state of being. When you chase validation outside yourself, you abdicate your natural authority over energy. The universe responds not to what you pursue, but to what you embody. This is why those who seem to strain the least often attract the most. They have discovered the royal secret of inner sovereignty. They understand that energy bows not to external demands, but to internal conviction. Russell's story illuminates this principle perfectly. After years of striving for success, he paused his external pursuit and turned inward. In quiet moments of self-reflection, he began to feel the wealth of his own being. He discovered that completeness was not a destination but a starting point. As he embraced this inner abundance, the world began to mirror his internal state. Opportunities appeared effortlessly, resources flowed naturally, and success seemed to chase him rather than the other way around. This mirrors an ageless truth: the outer world must conform to the inner kingdom. When you establish authority within yourself first, external circumstances naturally align with your inner state. This is not magical thinking. It is the precise operation of universal law. Energy responds to the signal you broadcast from within, not the demands you make without. Your inner realm is where true power resides, like a sovereign in their throne room. You command energy most effectively from this center point. External pursuit without inner alignment is like trying to rule a kingdom while constantly running through its streets. Authority comes from the throne, not the marketplace. Sacred practice: place your hand over your heart and declare gently, "The kingdom is within, and here all power dwells." Breathe into that inner chamber and imagine it expanding like a sanctuary filled with light. Each inhalation fans the flame of this inner kingdom, and each exhalation clears away the dust of doubt. You begin to sense that what you seek outside, strength, wisdom, guidance, already lives here, awaiting recognition. The power is not distant or conditional. It resides in your very being. Remain in this space of recognition until your body feels steadier, your spirit more luminous. Carry the truth with you into the day. You do not walk powerless or alone, for the kingdom you carry cannot be taken or diminished. With every hand-to-heart gesture, you return to the seat of authority that has always been yours. Part 3, The Path of Mastery. Chapter 21, The Invisible Thread. In a distant village, Eleanor dwelt alone in a small cottage, convinced that life had forgotten her. Each morning she would gaze out her window, seeing only empty paths where she wished for friendly faces. Though her heart yearned for connection, her mind insisted she was separate from the world's flowing currents. The truth lies in understanding that no soul stands truly alone. Every thought, every hope, every quiet wish sends ripples through the fabric of existence. These ripples, though unseen, weave patterns that draw matching energies together. Just as gravity operates whether or not you perceive it, the law of connection works ceaselessly, arranging circumstances and bringing souls into alignment. When Eleanor finally released her belief in isolation, the world responded swiftly. A neighbor appeared with fresh bread, just as she was thinking of learning to bake. A letter arrived from an old friend the very morning she had dreamed of them. Small coincidences grew into meaningful patterns, revealing the invisible orchestration that had always been at work. Clarence's experience reveals this principle in action. Each morning, he would affirm his trust in life's interconnected nature. Rather than forcing meetings or straining to make things happen, he simply acknowledged the unseen threads that bind all things. Soon his phone would ring with exactly the contact he needed. Ideas would arise in conversation that solved long-standing problems. Resources appeared precisely when required, as if life itself was conspiring in his favor. This demonstrates the subtle power of recognition. When you acknowledge the invisible connections that surround you, they strengthen. Like a spider's web catching morning dew, these delicate strands become visible only when you attune to their presence. Every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter, arrives through this unseen network of energy. Your task is not to create these connections. They already exist. Your role is to recognize and trust them. As you align with this truth, what seemed like isolation transforms into a dance of perfect timing and divine arrangement. The universe operates as one unified field, bringing together all elements required for your highest good. Sacred practice a whisper. Though unseen, my connections strengthen. Feel the invisible thread weave around you. As you repeat the phrase, envision an invisible thread extending from your heart, delicate yet unbreakable. See it reaching into the spaces you cannot touch, toward loved ones, toward unseen allies, toward the greater web of existence itself. With every breath, the thread multiplies, weaving a pattern around you that glows with quiet resilience and care. The unseen becomes a felt presence, as real as your own pulse. Rest in this awareness until you sense a soft cocoon of connection enveloping you. Trust that even in solitude, you're never severed from the living fabric of spirit, love, and belonging. Carry this recognition forward, letting it remind you that the strongest bonds are not always visible, but they endure, and they grow stronger each time you remember them. Chapter 22, The Master Key. In a small desert town lived Beulah, who carried a heart full of yearnings. Each morning, she would write lists of what she desired: a flourishing garden, deeper friendships, artistic recognition for her paintings. Yet the more she focused on what was missing, the more hollow her world became. Her garden withered, friends grew distant, and her art gathered dust in corners. The turning point arrived through an ancient manuscript that spoke of gratitude as the master frequency of creation. This truth shook her foundation. Abundance flows not through wanting, but through thanksgiving. That very evening, Beulah began giving thanks for her empty garden as if it already bloomed. She expressed gratitude for friendships not yet formed. She blessed her unsold paintings as if they already graced gallery walls. Within weeks, a transformation unfolded. A neighbor offered rare desert-blooming seeds. An art collector discovered her work through a chance encounter. New friends appeared, drawn by her radiant spirit of appreciation. The universal law reveals itself. Gratitude is not a response to receiving. It is the magnetic force that draws forth what you seek. It transforms your energy field from one of seeking to one of having, and in this shift, creation responds. This truth found perfect expression through Orville, a craftsman who had lost everything in a fire. Instead of dwelling in loss, he gave thanks each morning for the workshop he did not yet possess, for the tools that had not yet manifested, for the clients who had not yet appeared. His gratitude created an energy field so powerful that within months, his business flourished beyond its former glory. Your present circumstance holds no power over the law of gratitude. When you thank the universe for what appears absent, you transmute the frequency of lack into one of abundance. This is not mere positive thinking, it is the science of vibrational alignment. Gratitude before manifestation may seem paradoxical to the untrained mind. Yet this apparent paradox contains the very key to mastery. By offering thanks for the unseen, you acknowledge its existence in the spiritual realm, thereby drawing it into physical expression. The practice. Each morning upon waking, sit in quietude and speak these words with deep feeling. I thank now for what unfolds. Let gratitude fill your being until it overflows into every cell. This practice, maintained with devotion, becomes the master key that unlocks all doors. Chapter 23, The Radiance of Service. In a small coastal village, Winifred spent her days scanning the horizon for opportunities, her hands forever reaching outward to grasp what she believed was rightfully hers. Each morning, she would recite affirmations of abundance while clutching her desires close to her chest, wondering why the universe remained silent to her calls. The truth that eluded her was simple yet profound. Energy must flow freely, like the tides that swept the shore near her home. In her desperate grip, she created resistance, blocking the very flow she sought to capture. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, responds not to grasping hands, but to open hearts. Through the eternal laws that govern all creation, we understand that service to others creates an expansive field of energy. When you direct your attention toward lifting others, you tap into the greater current of universal abundance. This is not mere charity. It is the science of energy multiplication. Lloyd, a skilled craftsman, discovered this truth through living it. Rather than chase clients or scheme for better prices, he began freely sharing his knowledge with young apprentices. He offered guidance to those who could not afford his services, teaching them to repair their own belongings. Instead of depleting his business, this generosity created ripples of goodwill that returned as a tide of prosperity. Soon, word of his expertise spread naturally through the community. Those who could afford his services sought him out specifically, drawn by the authentic energy he had created through his giving. His income doubled, then tripled, yet this was secondary to the deep fulfillment he found in serving others. The lesson stands clear. Energy flows where attention goes, but it multiplies where service glows. When you release the grip of personal gain and allow your gifts to serve the greater good, you align with the natural law of increase. This is not sacrifice, it is intelligent cooperation with universal principles. Your own talents, whatever they may be, hold the same potential for multiplication. As you shine your light for others, that radiance reflects back multiplied. This is the paradox of spiritual abundance. What you give freely returns abundantly. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment as the sun rises. Place your hands over your heart and whisper, "As I shine for others, I shine for myself." Let this truth settle into your being, knowing that as you serve, so shall you prosper. Chapter 24, The Gate of Forgiveness. In a quiet village among rolling hills, Hazel carried her wounds like precious stones, polishing them daily with bitter memories. Each slight, each betrayal, each harsh word became a weight in her spiritual treasury, a collection that grew heavier with each passing season. She believed these grievances protected her, yet they served as chains, binding her energy to moments long past. The universal law speaks clearly. Energy caught in old pain cannot serve new joy. When you hold tight to past hurts, you anchor yourself to their vibration, refusing the natural current of life that seeks to move you forward. These grudges become prisons of your own making, their walls built of remembered pain and reinforced by repeated attention. Through the wisdom of ages, we know that forgiveness is not weakness. It is power in its purest form. To forgive is to release trapped energy, allowing it to flow once again in its natural pattern. This truth manifested perfectly in Clifton's journey. For years, Clifton nursed the memory of business partners who had betrayed his trust, costing him his life savings. He carried this story like a shield, using it to justify his isolation and suspicion. Yet one morning, gazing at his reflection, he saw how this burden had aged him beyond his years. In that moment, he chose release over righteousness. With each conscious act of forgiveness, Clifton felt lighter. The energy once spent maintaining old grievances now flowed freely into new ventures. Former colleagues, sensing his transformed spirit, sought his counsel. Opportunities emerged as if by magic, though it was simply the natural result of freed energy finding its proper channel. Forgiveness operates as a spiritual law. What you release from others, you release from yourself. It is the master key that unlocks both sides of the prison door. Your grudges may feel justified. Indeed, they often are. But justification makes the chains no lighter. Ancient practice. As dusk approaches, find a peaceful corner. Breathe deeply and softly repeat, I set all free, and so am I set free. Feel the weight of old grievances dissolving with each breath, allowing fresh energy to flow where stagnant pain once resided. And Chapter 25, The Secret Name. In the heart of a bustling market, Leona stood among the crowd, feeling small and invisible. Though her hands held the same ability to shape reality as any other, she had named herself insignificant for so long that energy simply echoed her belief. With each whispered, I can't, and I'm not enough, she wove a web of limitation around her spirit. The ancient wisdom speaks of a profound truth. The names you give yourself become commands to the universal forces. Energy, in its infinite intelligence, responds not to what you wish to be, but to what you name yourself to be. Your self-definition acts as a mold into which reality must pour itself. When you declare, I am weak, energy aligns to manifest that reality. When you proclaim, I am strong, the same forces rush to confirm this truth. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the fundamental law of energetic alignment. The universe knows you only by the names you answer to. Leona's transformation began the moment she questioned these self-imposed titles. Standing before her mirror one morning, she spoke a new name into existence. I am strong. Though her voice trembled, energy responded instantly to this fresh command. Within days, opportunities arose that called forth her dormant strength. This truth found equal expression in Grover's journey. For years he had worn the name of victim like an old familiar coat. Yet when he dared to rename himself creator, the very fabric of his reality began to shift. His business, once struggling, found new pathways to success. His relationships, previously strained, transformed through his renewed self-authority. The power of naming operates ceaselessly. Each thought that begins with I am sends ripples through the energetic field, drawing matching circumstances into your sphere. This is why masters of old guarded their self-definitions with utmost care, knowing these sacred names shape their destiny. Ancient practice of find a quiet space where you can be alone. Stand tall, place your hand upon your heart, and speak with quiet authority. My secret name is power. Let this declaration resonate through your being until you feel its truth in every cell. Chapter 26, The Power and Joy. In a small cottage among ancient trees, Teresa moved through her days with heavy steps and furrowed brow. Though blessed with talents and opportunities, she carried each task as though it were a burden, unknowingly pushing away the very abundance she sought. Her shoulders bent beneath invisible weights. Her voice carried the tone of one who expected difficulty at every turn. The universal law reveals itself with crystalline clarity. Joy is not merely an emotion. It is a magnetic force that draws creation toward you. When you approach life with heaviness, you signal to the universe that you're closed to its gifts. Energy responds precisely to this frequency, bringing more experiences that match your solemn vibration. Each smile, each moment of delight, each burst of laughter sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility. These ripples return as circumstances aligned with your joy. This is why those who walk in lightness often find fortune falling into their laps, while those who trudge in seriousness wonder why abundance eludes them. This truth found perfect expression in Chesterfield's transformation. Where once he approached his work with stern determination, he learned to infuse each moment with playful appreciation. His change in demeanor was not mere surface adjustment, it altered the very frequency he broadcast to the universe. As Chesterfield embraced joy, remarkable shifts occurred. Business partnerships formed with ease. Creative solutions appeared spontaneously, and even his health improved. He discovered that serious effort was not the key to manifestation. It was the lightness of being that drew success naturally to his door. The ancient teaching stands, joy is not the result of achievement, but its catalyst. When you choose joy first, you align with the natural state of the universe, which is ever expanding, ever creating, ever delighting in its own expression. This alignment becomes a beacon, drawing to you experiences that match your raised vibration. Sacred practices: stand in front of a mirror, let your face soften into a genuine smile, and declare with gentle power, "In joy, I am magnetic." Feel this truth uplift your entire being, knowing that your delight is drawing infinite good toward you. Chapter 27. The Crown of Silence. In the heart of a bustling city, Maud eagerly shared her dreams with anyone who would listen. Each morning, she announced her intentions to transform her life, broadcasting her plans for success across social gatherings and casual conversations. Yet, with every telling, her visions seemed to lose their vitality, becoming mere wisps of what they once were. The more she spoke of them, the more they slipped through her fingers like water through cupped hands. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. When we scatter our sacred intentions to the winds, we dilute their power. Each premature sharing draws energy away from the core of creation, weakening the magnetic force that draws manifestation near. Fletcher understood this truth through his own journey. In the quiet corners of his consciousness, he nurtured his visions like tender seedlings in rich soil. He kept his dreams close to his heart, protecting them from the harsh winds of doubt and criticism that often greet newly forming realities. In this sacred silence, his aspirations took root and grew strong. Your deepest transformations begin in stillness. The ancient masters knew that power gathers in the depths of quiet contemplation. When you hold your visions in the sanctuary of your own heart, you allow them to gather strength, unmarred by the opinions and energies of others. This is not about secrecy born of fear, but of wisdom. Just as a seed requires darkness before it breaks through to light, your intentions need their season of quiet gestation. The silent crown of self-containment creates a protective field around your growing dreams, allowing them to gather momentum undisturbed. Each time Fletcher felt the urge to speak of his unfolding path, he instead directed that energy inward, reinforcing his vision's foundation. Soon, he discovered that reality began conforming to his silent expectations without fanfare or announcement. His transformation spoke for itself, requiring no herald. The law remains constant. What is protected in silence grows in power. Your visions require no validation from the external world to become real. They draw their strength from your quiet certainty, from the unwavering focus you maintain in the sacred space of your own consciousness. Ancient practice of find a quiet moment before dawn, sit in perfect stillness and think only. What is hidden grows strong. Allow this truth to settle into your being without words, feeling the invisible crown of silence strengthening your intentions. Let the power of unspoken creation fill you completely. Chapter 28, The Bridge of Light. In countless moments, Genevieve stood before her dreams as though facing an uncrossable chasm. Each time she yearned for change, her mind whispered, "Impossible," and she remained rooted where she was. Like many before her, she saw only the gap between where she stood and where she longed to be. Yet within the treasury of universal law lies this golden truth. Visualization is not mere fantasy. It is the architect's blueprint laying foundations in the unseen. When Genevieve finally understood this principle, she began treating her imagination as sacred ground where futures first take shape. The power of visualization operates through light and feeling. When you hold an image bathed in the glow of possibility, you are not dreaming, you are building. Each time you return to this vision with trust, you strengthen the bridge of structure in the realm where all things begin. Horace discovered this principle while facing seemingly insurmountable challenges at his workplace. Instead of dwelling on problems, he began spending quiet moments visualizing solutions with crystal clarity. He saw himself moving through difficulties with ease, watched new pathways opening before him in his mind's eye. To his amazement, circumstances began arranging themselves to match his inner pictures, as though reality itself was conforming to the blueprints he had drawn in thought. Your imagination is not separate from the universe. It is the universe expressing through you, showing you what is possible before it manifests in form. When you visualize with faith, you are not pretending. You are participating in creation's first movement from formless to form. The bridge of light you build in consciousness becomes the path your feet will walk in the physical world. This is not metaphor, but mechanism, the law by which the unseen becomes seen. Your clear, steady vision sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility, crystallizing new realities from pure potential. Ancient practice, find a peaceful space and close your eyes. Picture yourself walking across a bridge made of pure light, leading to your heart's desire. Feel the solid foundation beneath your feet. See the radiance illuminating your path. Smile gently, knowing you are already there in the realm where all things begin. Let this vision fill you with quiet certainty. Chapter 29, The Everlasting Flame. In a small village by the mountains, Sylvia sat in her garden each morning, attempting to manifest her desires. Some days, she felt the power surge through her like lightning, while on others, it seemed to abandon her completely. With each passing week of inconsistent results, her faith wavered and her practice grew mechanical and hollow. Your power does not come and go like changing weather. It burns eternally within, a sacred flame that never truly dims. What appears as fluctuation is merely your awareness shifting in and out of alignment with this constant force. When you perceive your energy as intermittent, you misunderstand its nature. The sun does not cease to exist behind clouds. It remains, unchanging and brilliant. So too does your inner power maintain its presence regardless of your temporary perception of its strength. Carlton, a craftsman from the western shores, once believed his ability to create came in sporadic bursts of inspiration. He would wait for these moments, letting his workshop gather dust between flashes of brilliance. Yet as wisdom deepened within him, he discovered that the creative force flowed ceaselessly. It was his attention to it that had been inconsistent. He began treating his power as an eternal presence, tending to it daily, like a sacred hearth fire. He no longer waited for inspiration, but worked with steady devotion, knowing that the flame of creation burned constantly within. Soon, his crafts took on new life, and customers spoke of the magic they could feel emanating from his works. This truth extends beyond individual moments of manifestation. It is the very foundation of your spiritual sovereignty. The power that moves through you is not a candle to be relit, but an eternal sun at the core of your being. It requires only your recognition and steady attention to blaze forth in full radiance. When you understand this principle, persistence becomes natural. You no longer chase after power or wait for it to return, for you know it never left. Instead, you simply attune yourself to what already flows, like one who learns to feel the constant beating of their own heart. Ancient practices: sit quietly in the evening hours, place your hand over your heart center, and speak these words with unwavering conviction. My flame is eternal and cannot end. Let this truth settle into your bones until you feel the warmth of your inner fire spreading through your entire being. Chapter 30, Energy Without End. In a bustling marketplace, Gertrude clutched her coins tightly, counting them again and again. Each purchase brought anxiety. Each expenditure sparked fear that tomorrow would bring emptiness. She lived as though the universe held a finite supply of good, portioning out her joy as if it too might vanish with the setting sun. This perception of limitation exists only in the mind, not in the vast ocean of universal energy that surrounds you. Like a wave believing it might exhaust the sea, this fear stems from forgetting your connection to the infinite source of all creation. The truth remains unchanging. Energy cannot be depleted, only transformed. It flows in endless cycles, renewing itself through every exchange. When you release the grip of scarcity, you align with this eternal current. Alvin, a merchant who once shared this fear, discovered this wisdom through an unexpected turn. Each night, he would tally his day's earnings with trembling hands, convinced that prosperity could desert him at any moment. Yet one morning, gazing at the rising sun, understanding dawned within him. Just as the sun's light never diminishes despite giving endlessly, the flow of life's abundance knows no exhaustion. From that moment, he ceased hoarding his resources and began moving in harmony with life's natural exchange. His business flourished, not because he grasped more tightly, but because he trusted in the ceaseless flow. What appeared as endings became doorways to greater beginning. This teaching stands as the cornerstone of mastery. There is no finish line in the universe, no point where energy ceases its eternal dance. What seems to end merely shifts form, like water flowing from stream to cloud to rain. In recognizing this truth, you step into alignment with the infinite current of creation. To live in this knowing is to release the weight of lack, to move through life with the ease of one who understands that supply is as endless as the stars above. Your task is not to generate energy, but to align with its ever-present flow. Ancient practice. In the quiet of dawn, place both hands over your heart. Breathe deeply and affirm with gentle certainty, I dwell in energy without end. Let this truth settle into your being until you feel yourself as one with the infinite stream of life. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You stand now at the threshold of understanding, having walked through the gates of ancient wisdom. The journey through these teachings has revealed that energy, this invisible force that permeates all existence, speaks in the whispered language of thought, breathes in the rhythm of intention, and moves through the channels of focused awareness. Through each parable and principle, you have witnessed how energy responds not to force, but to alignment. Not to demand, but to allowance. You have seen how those who fought against its flow remained trapped in patterns of lack, while those who learned to dance with its currents found themselves carried to shores of abundance they could never have reached by swimming alone. The control of energy, as you now understand, is not about dominion, but about dialogue. It is the gentle art of becoming fluent in the universe's native tongue, the language of vibration, resonance, and conscious creation. Each thought you hold, each word you speak, each feeling you nurture becomes a note in this cosmic symphony. These teachings are not mere theory, but living wisdom that must be embodied. Like water shaping stone, it is the consistent application of these principles that transforms potential into manifestation. Your every breath is an opportunity to practice this sacred science, every moment a chance to align more deeply with the infinite current that flows through all things. Let these truths settle not just in your mind, but in your bones. Feel them pulse with your heartbeat, flow with your breath. The power you seek has always resided within. These teachings simply drew back the veil. As you move forward, carry this wisdom not as knowledge to be shared, but as light to be lived. For in your silent mastery, the truth will speak through the very fabric of your transformed existence. And walk forward now, knowing that energy, infinite and eternal, awaits your conscious partnership in the dance of creation. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.